These came out, as far as I can tell, mid-1979 in Australia, and this is the model VTC9300. This is actually the second generation of it, which has had a bit of a facelift. I'll show you the earlier one in a sec. A few interesting things about these machines. They're quite primitive as far as, well, modern, if you like, VCRs are concerned. Starting with the timer record, you have a limitation of either 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or let it run until the tape runs out. You can't select a specific recording time length. So that limits programs, well, particularly on commercial channels when they tend to overrun their time or start at the wrong time. There is no picture search, cue or review functions, which is irritating for skipping through advertisements. Very cap tuner. The US models had a set of turret tuners. In the back we have the RF modulator in here. A lot of these were UHF for the European market, but in Australia we did get VHF modulators in some of them. They're completely interchangeable, they're just a plug-in unit, user pluggable. Alright, so we'll have a closer look at the next machine. Okay, these are based on the 3/4 inch U-matic machines. Use the U-loading setup, except it operates in the reverse direction, and of course the tape in these is 1/2 inch instead of 3/4 inch. So as soon as the tape goes in, it'll thread up, and it'll remain threaded up through all the functions like play and fast forward, and when you eject, it unlaces again. Now, one of the limitations of the beta format, which I'm not terribly happy with, is the fixed head drums. So you've got an upper and lower head drum, and the rotating disc. If I can show the heads. Yeah, you can just see your head there, but the problem is the head surface wears and creates a lot of friction, and you get a problem in rewind where the tape is very sluggish. And apparently you can resurface the head drums using Scotch-Brite and Brasso and isopropyl alcohol. There's other YouTube videos on that. Now, everything is driven by this AC synchronous motor. So that's the only motor in the whole machine, and as a result there's a lot of belts underneath, and we'll have a look at that now. Underneath the machine you can see the belts. One of the problem belts is the capstan tyre, which will cause very sluggish loading and unloading if that's worn or cracked, and that's usually one of the first things that fails. The capstan belt and head disc belt, if they're defective, they'll cause tracking problems, so get sort of changes in tracking every few seconds. Now this part down here looks like a AC synchronous motor, but it's actually an eddy current brake. So the way it works is that the motor here spins a little bit faster than it needs to, and the braking is applied to the head disc to bring it back down to the correct speed and phase, so that it tracks correctly on the tape. And there's two other belts here for the take up and supply reels, so if they're slipping it can also cause problems in rewind and fast forward. Electrically, not a lot goes wrong with these. This is the power supply board. Now, two things that can happen here is if there's ripple on the clock display, kind of flickering, C702 has dried out and there's 50 cycle ripple, so change that cap. The other thing which can happen is Q702 is the 12 volt regulator transistor. It's a TO220 package. That can short circuit, putting unregulated voltage onto everything. Now, one of the symptoms is if this has failed, the power switch won't switch the machine off. And to get to that transistor, don't undo those two screws, otherwise you'll pull the track off the PC board. Instead, the whole board has to come out, and that is accessed through here. So in this slot here you can see the heatsink screws, so just loosen them and the board will slide out. And while we've got the back off, this is the modulator, and as you can see it plugs in and out, and you can put the VHF or UHF one in. This is the UHF modulator. I did find some dry joints. I don't know where they were exactly, but I had to go over the whole board because pressing on the modulator was necessary to get a proper image. In the deck mechanism, the pinch roller arm can be a bit sticky because the die-cast metal is swollen up, as it tends to do. So in this machine I had to gently ream it with a jeweler's file. And also the spindle, if you like, for the pinch roller had loosened in the alloy material, so I had to araldite that in. And yeah, apart from that, they're easy machines to service, but as I said before, yeah, my main sort of gripe is the fixed head drum and the fact that the tape is laced up while you're fast forwarding and rewinding. Now, the later machines, the VTC9300 and 5005, actually unthreaded the tape during fast forward and rewind, so they don't have this problem.
And cough can be really disturbing for you and the people around you. Benadryl cough medicine stops coughing fast, so everyone feels better.
This country is at war with Germany.
Okay, this is something which was recorded back in the 80s. So old tape does stand the test of time. This is actually Hope and Glory, which is on Channel 10 at the time. This is an ad out of a 1979 newspaper. So you can see that the VTC9300 was $895. Machines up here, there's one there, and there's another 3 down there. So yeah, I've got about how there were 2 different versions of this. This one is the early one from 79 up to I think about 1981. It's got a very plain all black cabinet, but otherwise it's yeah, exactly the same as the later one which I showed at first. So that's it, the Sanyo Beta VTC9300.